We are the most medicated generation in human history. Every year, Americans over the age of 60 spend a collective $150 billion on a single promise: resilience. We buy plastic bottles filled with immune support capsules, brain-boosting powders, and synthetic extracts, all processed in factories 3,000 miles away. We have been taught that health is a commodity, something that must be manufactured, branded, and subscribed to. But while we queue at the pharmacy, there is a quiet explosion happening in the shadows of your backyard. That pile of logs you were planning to burn this autumn. To a chemist, it is garbage. But to the earth, it is a high-capacity biological battery. It is a dense, pressurized vessel of carbon, minerals, and sunlight that has been charging for 50 years. If I told you that this garbage could be converted into a continuous supply of protein and medicinal compounds that modern neurology is only now beginning to understand, with a setup that takes 15 minutes and lasts for 20 years, would you believe me? Or have you been conditioned to believe that anything free is a nuisance and anything effective must have a price tag? The paradox isn't that this technology exists. The paradox is that it was systematically replaced by a system that requires your constant payment to function. And the reason for that silence is buried deeper than the mycelium itself. This is not folklore. This is a forensic reconstruction of a suppressed agricultural reality. In the corridors of the National Institutes of Health and independent mycological laboratories, the data is undeniable. We are looking at a class of fungi, specifically those that thrive on hardwood logs, containing molecular structures known as beta-glucans and erinacines. Peer-reviewed observations suggest these wood-bound compounds can stimulate nerve growth factor, NGF, a primary protein responsible for the regeneration and survival of neurons. In a world where cognitive decline is treated as an inevitable part of aging, this log pharmacy represents a cognitive glitch in the industrial healthcare narrative. But there is a reason the mushroom supplements you see in the store are rarely grown on logs. Log cultivation takes time. It takes patience. It cannot be rushed by industrial heaters or chemical accelerants. Industry standards favor growing fungi on sterilized sawdust or grain. It's faster. It's more profitable. But the mineral profile? It's a shadow of what the earth intended. A log-grown mushroom is a concentrated extract of a tree's entire life, a 50-year history of mineral absorption condensed into a single fruit. We have the data, we have the journals, and we have the history. But to understand why this was erased from the modern home, we have to go back to a time when your backyard was considered a threat to the state's economy. Long before the first pharmaceutical company was incorporated, the mountains of East Asia were home to the diamond of the forest. In the year 1100, a man named Wu Sangguang noticed a pattern. He saw that after a heavy thunderstorm, fallen oak trees would erupt with vibrant, fleshy life. He realized that the forest wasn't just recycling death, it was transmuting it. For centuries, entire villages were sustained by these log piles. They were their pharmacies, their grocery stores, and their survival vaults. When settlers moved across the North American continent, they brought this quiet wisdom with them. They knew that the hardwoods of the Appalachians, the oaks, the maples, the birches, were dormant gold mines. But as the 20th century roared to life, the chemical age arrived. We were told that medicine must be white, round, and come in a bottle. The backyard log pile was recast as a sign of poverty, a primitive relic that had no place in the modern, sterile American home. Why is a pile of logs superior to a subscription-based healthcare model? Let us climb the evidence ladder. Rung 1. The mineral vault. Unlike terrestrial plants, fungi do not just grow in the soil. They consume the very structure of the wood. They extract trace minerals like selenium, zinc, and germanium that have been locked in the wood's lignins for decades. minerals that are almost entirely absent from modern, depleted topsoil. Rung 2. Survival longevity. A single inoculation of a hardwood log creates a perennial harvest. Once the mycelium claims the wood, it defends it. It creates a natural antibiotic barrier against pests and rot. You set the biological clock, and it keeps ticking for 20 years. Rung 3. The immune modulator. Scientific trials have shown that these specific fungi don't stimulate the immune system, they modulate it. They act as a biological thermostat, calming overactive inflammation while training white blood cells to recognize actual threats. Rung 4. Protein autonomy. In a crisis, protein is the first thing to vanish from shelves. These fungi offer a complete amino acid profile, grown on garbage that no one else wants. Rung 5. The cognitive buffer. The compounds found in wood-grown fungi are among the few substances capable of crossing the blood-brain barrier, directly supporting the health of the neurons that store your memories and your personality. 5 rungs of proof. 5 reasons to stop burning your wood. But the most shocking part isn't what the mushroom does. It's how it manages to do it without a single watt of electricity or a drop of chemical fertilizer. To understand how this works, you have to realize that a log is not dead. It is a massive, untapped reservoir of sunlight. A tree spends 50 years drinking light and converting it into cellulose and lignin. Humans cannot digest wood. To us, it is as inert as a stone. But to a mushroom, that log is a high-calorie feast. Think of the fungus as a biological inverter. When you insert a plug of mycelium into the log, you are uploading a biological software code. The liquidation. The mycelium secretes powerful enzymes that are unique in the natural world. These enzymes unlock the lignin, the iron-like glue of the tree, converting the wood into digestible sugars. The nutrient sponge. The mycelium then absorbs those sugars and concentrates the minerals found deep within the wood fibers. It becomes a dense, white sponge of pure life force. The fruit. When the temperature drops and the rain falls, the battery overflows. It pushes out a fruit, the mushroom, which is essentially a condensed biological multivitamin. It is a slow-motion explosion of energy. One log can produce several pounds of medicinal fruit every year. As the wood softens over the decades, the harvest actually becomes easier for the fungus. It is a system that gets more efficient as it ages. It is the most sophisticated energy conversion machine on the planet. And yet, the modern economy has spent 60 years trying to convince you that it's more efficient to buy a plastic bottle of sawdust. Why did we forget? The answer lies in the business model of recurring revenue. You cannot charge a monthly fee for a biological process that happens in a shaded corner of a backyard. In the eyes of a trillion-dollar pharmaceutical industry, a person who can grow their own cognitive support medicine for 20 years is not a customer. They are a leak in the revenue stream. To plug that leak, they didn't have to ban the logs. They just had to change the definition of health. They redefined health as something that must be prescribed and purchased. They funded studies that focused on isolated compounds rather than whole food systems. They taught us to fear wild things and trust sterile things. By labeling log cultivation as too slow or too difficult, they successfully moved our healthcare from the backyard to the supply chain. We traded our sovereignty for convenience, and we traded a 20-year harvest for a 30-day prescription. But the glitch in their system is that nature doesn't follow a business plan. The logs are still there. The sugar is still in the wood, and the setup is simpler than you've been led to believe. To take back your autonomy, you don't need a lab. You need a weekend and a bit of biological code. This is the sovereignty setup. Step 1. The vessel. Find a fresh-cut hardwood log, oak, beech, or sugar maple. It must be fresh, cut within the last month, so the battery is still full of moisture and sugar, but the bark is still intact to act as armor. Step 2. The code. Acquire plug spawn. These are small wooden dowels that have been preloaded with mushroom mycelium. Think of them as USB drives for the forest. Step 3. The infiltration. Drill holes every 6 inches in a diamond pattern. Tap the plugs in with a mallet. You are inserting the code into the mainframe. Step 4. The seal. Use food-grade wax, beeswax or cheese wax to seal the holes. This keeps the moisture in and ensures that unauthorized wild fungi don't hijack your battery. Now, you walk away. You don't need to till, you don't need to weed, you don't need to spray. You only need to ensure the logs don't dry out completely in a drought. For the first year, the log will look the same, but inside, the silent war is being won. The mycelium is claiming every fiber. Then, one morning after a spring rain, the fruit will appear, and it will keep appearing, year after year, for as long as there is sugar left in the wood. It is the laziest garden on earth, but the results are more potent than any high-maintenance industrial farm. But what does it do to a person's spirit when they realize they no longer need the pharmacy? When you harvest your own medicine from a pile of wood that the system told you was garbage, something shifts in your mind. You realize that the experts were wrong. You realize that the standard model of living, the one that requires you to be a perpetual consumer, is just one choice among many. For someone over the age of 60, this is the ultimate act of rebellion. In a society that often treats the elderly as obsolete, owning a 20-year biological engine is a statement of enduring power. It is proof that you can still innovate, you can still provide, and you can still outsmart a system that was designed to profit from your aging. You are restoring a relationship with the earth that was severed 3 generations ago. You are taking the diamond of the forest and putting it back in your own pocket. We have been told that the future is high-tech and expensive, but the truth is, the future is ancient, silent, and growing in the shade. The homeowners associations call it an eyesore. The chemical industry calls it unreliable. But the logs don't care about their labels. They don't care about the stock market. They only care about the rain and the sugar. We have spent our lives following the standard model, paying our fees and trusting the supply chain. But the supply chain is fragile. The pharmacy is expensive, and the experts are often just salesmen in lab coats. It's time to stop burning your legacy. It's time to stop paying for a resilience that already belongs to you. The next time you see a fallen oak tree, don't see work, see a 20-year pharmacy. Don't see death, see a slow-motion explosion of life. The vault is open. The code is available. The only question is, are you brave enough to trust a pile of logs more than a plastic bottle? If this record has shifted the way you perceive the dead world around you, hit the like button. Tell the algorithm that you value sovereignty over subscription. Share this with someone who is ready to reclaim their health from the ground up. And if you want to be there when we open the next vault, the one about a grain that reseeds itself forever, you know what to do. The experts want you to keep scrolling, but the soil wants you to remember.